Am I the a-hole for calling my brother-in-law a giant man baby? My sister has been married twice. With her ex-husband, she has a 10-year-old daughter and an 8-year-old son. She is currently expecting a baby, 6-ish months along, with her current/second husband. Second husband is brother-in-law mentioned in the post. My sister and her ex-husband's marriage ended during her second pregnancy in reality. They were together for several more months in an effort to make it work, but they were never really in love. I believe this is somewhat relevant later, and I don't think they ever really liked each other, but both loved the children they shared. The marriage ended, and my sister started dating soon after. She met brother-in-law a year after her divorce was finalized. At this point, the kids were 3.5 and 1.5. Problems began when my sister and Bil moved in together after 6 months of dating. Bil did not like seeing the kids' dad around. The kids' dad would pick them up for his custody time, would show up to preschool plays and meetings. Then Bil got annoyed one day when he found out my parents had run into the kids' dad and spoken to him at random. He said nothing for ages after my parents mentioned it. Months and maybe even more than a year later, when I think back on it, he brought it up and told us all how offended he was that we were still friendly with the kids' dad, and he said this in front of the kids. When my sister and Bil got married, he became visibly frustrated when the kids wanted to invite their dad. He wasn't invited, but he was annoyed that a 4- and 6-year-old wanted their dad there. Bil has this one-sided and self-inflicted competition going on with the kids' dad for the role as their dad. He has tried encouraging the kids to call him dad, has asked my sister to go to court and get Father's Day split/shared or alternated in some way so he can have them too. I believe my sister allows this because Bil is the first man she has been in love with, and she's letting it blind her. Bil complains frequently that the kids treat him like a stranger or like a teacher they have to respect but don't like. Yesterday was my other sister's birthday, and we were at her house. My sister's kids were telling me about their dad and what was going on with him when Bil demanded to speak with me and tore me a new one for disrespecting him with talk of the competition. He told me he is my sister's husband and the kid's real dad, and I should stop the disrespect. I told him to quit being such a man baby and accept that he has stepkids and they have a loving father, and that others are allowed to be on good terms with their father. He called me some names and said I owed him a lot more respect than I was showing him by saying that to his face. AITA? Am I the a-hole for refusing to spend a lot of money on gifts from the baby to my stepdaughters? My husband, 33M, has 2 daughters, 9 and 8, from a previous marriage. He shares custody of them with his ex-wife Mina, 33F. They divorced 7 years ago. I met him 5 years ago, and we're almost 2 years married now. This is my 30F, first biological child. Things are tense between us and Mina. I mostly stay out of discussions between them because she does not like it, and ultimately, the girls don't need more tension between their 2 homes for the sake of me showing up. That doesn't mean I don't discuss things with my husband or that I'm uninvolved. But when it comes to communicating with their mom, I don't insist that my voice be heard equally like the 2 bio and legal parents. My husband would like me to be an equal part of it. But tension is significantly less since I made the decision not to sit in on these discussions, which I would only go to support my husband, but even that was something Mina disliked. I bring this up because this is being taken into consideration on this point. A few weeks before I found out I was pregnant, the girls told my husband Mina was pregnant. Mina is single for anyone who asks and is pregnant by a donor. They were really excited. When we told them we were expecting, they weren't excited. They see their mom having a baby as different than me having a baby with their dad. We get along, so this was a surprise. But they don't see me as a parent, so the baby isn't a sibling. While their mom's baby has just their mom, so they're real siblings. This is something being addressed via therapy and my husband and I talking to them. Now on to the gifts. Mina bought the girls roughly $500 worth of gifts each that they'll get from the baby when she's born. My husband wanted us to do this too, and he told me we need to match it at least because they already prefer their sister from mom and still don't see their brother from us as a real sibling. Neither baby is born yet BTW. I told him I didn't think we should spend a lot on gifts like that. My husband said he's worried it's just another negative for our son if we don't. My husband's parents found out through Mina about the gifts, and they told us we better do better than that. I told them it was an insane amount of money to spend for this. They accused me of not caring about the girls and not valuing a good relationship or a good sibling relationship between them and my son. They think it's unreasonable to not want to spend a lot of money in these circumstances. AITA?
Am I the a-hole for telling my parents I'm not changing my name because of their name regret? I'm 16M, my parents' youngest kid, and the only kid the name based on what they liked versus what the family wanted them to name us. My siblings were all named after family members like both my dad's and mom's families prefer. By the time they got around to having me, they were live fuck this shit and told their family they were choosing a name based on what they liked and not based on family. So they named me Sunny. Yeah, the girl version of Sunny. I don't care. I don't think Sunny is girly because it has a U versus an O. But anyway, my parents started to regret my name when I was maybe 10. I don't remember exactly when, but I can remember being about 10 and my parents started sometimes calling me by my middle name and only stopping when I told them it was weird and I liked my first name. When I was 13, they asked me if I ever went by a nickname and I said no. Last year, they said some kids change their names before graduating high school because they want something more grown up and they want to save the added expense of changing the name on their degree. I was like, oh, I guess if people want that, it makes sense. Then I said it must suck to hate your name. 6 months ago, my parents said I look like a James nicknamed Jamie. I asked them why they thought that, and they said I just had that look. They asked what I thought of the name, and I said I like Jamie but prefer Sunny. Then they asked if I liked the name Luke, and I said no. In June, they asked me if I would consider letting them change my name to something different. They said they feel like they named me as a big fuck you to their families but felt bad that I had such an unserious name for a man. I told them I didn't want to change my name, and I always loved the way they talked about finding my name. They said their feelings had changed and they felt like the name being cute and light and full of hope wasn't great for going into my adult years. They said they deeply regretted it. I told them I was glad they made the choice they did and they shouldn't stress it. But last week they got the paperwork for a legal name change and presented me with like 3 name choices and asked me to pick. They said they really didn't want to live with the guilt. I told them I'm not changing my name because of their name regret. I told them how I feel about my name is more important now. They told me I should at least think of their feelings and that I should consider the future and whether I'll be taken seriously. AITA?
Am I the a-hole for refusing to help pay for my younger brother's college because my dad never saved up for him? I, 26F, graduated from college a couple of years ago. I worked my butt off to get through school, juggling scholarships, loans, and part-time jobs to pay for everything on my own. My dad, 55M, remarried when I was 18, and I have a half-brother, 17M, who's about to graduate high school. Recently, my dad asked if I could help out with my brother's college expenses because he and his wife didn't save up for it. He said I should be able to afford it now that I have a full-time job, and because I got lucky with scholarships, it would only be fair if I helped my brother since family helps family. I love my brother, but I told my dad I can't be responsible for his education, especially when I had to figure everything out on my own. My dad didn't give me any financial support during college, so I don't see why it's suddenly my responsibility now. He got mad, called me selfish, and now both my stepmom and brother are giving me the cold shoulder. I feel guilty because my brother has nothing to do with this, but at the same time, I just started my career and am trying to build a life of my own. AITA, for saying no to helping pay for my brother's education?
Am I the a-hole for refusing to pay for a shared holiday with family that I am no longer attending? Our family has been growing, and since last year, we started booking a holiday home in the countryside just before Christmas, so we could all spend time together before celebrating separately with our own smaller families. Most of us live in small city apartments, so there's no space to host everyone. The house we rent is quite expensive but spacious, with a sauna, fireplace, and a chef's kitchen. Perfect for a Christmas getaway. Each family also has their own room with an ensuite. This year, we booked the same house right after last year's stay and made the down payment at the beginning of the year. In May, I informed my family that we, my husband, kids, and I, are moving overseas in September. My cousin and her partner, who are expecting a baby, also decided not to go. Her parents said they'd cover her share of the cost. Now, my sister is asking me to pay for my share, saying it's unfair for the rest of them to cover the extra cost. Dividing it among the others would only be about $15 more each, but my sister thinks it's unfair for my cousin's parents to pay for our share as well. I'm really torn. Should I just pay to keep the peace? I'm upset because this feels unfair, especially since we're tight on money after the big move. It's also been harder to communicate with my family now that we're on the other side of the world. Though in some ways, being distant from family drama can be a relief. I miss them all and want to do the right thing, but I can't help feeling this isn't fair. Big thanks to everyone who watched to the end. I really appreciate the support, and please hit the subscribe button.